A fantastic week to start the weekend off for the Philadelphia 76ers and Philadelphia fans in general as the Sixers knock off the best team in the East by a final score of 132-129 on a Friday night where this was a much-needed one as they snapped their 7-game losing streak, front end of a back-to-back for them, and they get it started with, again, the best win of the campaign for this group. Welcome to the PHLY Sixers postgame show presented by Bet365. Download the Bet365 app and use code PHLY365 when you sign up. Whatever the moment, it's never ordinary at Bet365 alongside Rich Hoffman. I'm Devon Givens. Brianna here producing. All of you in the chat with a fantastic win. Now, whether you wanted them to lose or wanted them to win, it was a great game overall. They were in this one from the very start where they were going back and forth. Really good Tyrese Maxey first half, a fantastic Paul George second half. We'll get into all of that. We'll talk about the supporting cast, which was also really, really good. From Kelly Oubre to Gershon Yabusele, Eric Gordon, Justin Edwards, Jeff Doughton with some much needed points there somewhere in the mix overall. A well-coached game by Nick Nurse in this victory over the Cleveland Cavaliers. We'll give our player of the game a little bit later. We will talk to the fellas, both Derek Bodner and Kyle Neubeck, hopefully both of them, from the arena. And we'll give our WTF moment of the night. That might come earlier than you expected as we break this one down. Rich, a fantastic win. And look, we're not going to get overly excited about this one because they still have a long ways to go and we don't know what this does for the Sixers, but we know that the Bulls are next up. That's a winnable game for this basketball team. And if the duo of Tyrese Maxey and Paul George play like this tonight, they have given themselves a really good shot, at least taking it one game at a time tomorrow against Chicago. And folks, they have a 6-game homestand starting next Tuesday. Just saying.
You're feeling the turnaround already. Huh?
Well, it ain't go that far, but I'm just letting everybody know. You know, look ahead to the schedule. We'll be here for 6 games with Bree over the next week and a half. But your general thoughts of this one? Are we getting to the takeaways right away? The 3 takeaways right away, Rich?
Yeah, I mean, we can get into them if Bree has them ready. I think besides, instead of just getting too excited about what this means moving forward, I thought it was the most fun game of the year, man. Like, those two teams, they combined to shoot 46 of 92 from beyond the arc.
92 threes.
I believe we had Kamel in the chat mention that Ty Jerome went 8 for 8 from beyond the arc.
He was unbelievable.
Not good enough for a win.
Especially with that play we'll talk about shortly.
He had a little trouble inbounding the ball at the end. But, I mean, just the offensive firepower in that game, the shot making from Paul George late, from Tyrese Maxey early, from Eric Gordon shooting the ball from the parking lot like Eric Gordon has done his entire career, particularly in Houston. Justin Edwards making threes. It was just a blast to watch. And that was my first takeaway. And I think, as the Sixers and Cavs, Devon, were going back on the seesaw for most of the game, we didn't know if they were going to win. I mean, the Sixers needed, I think it was a 13-0 run to pull ahead at the end. Yes. I believe they were down 6 at one point. But we were sitting there saying, hey, man, like, even if they lose, like, we got our money's worth tonight. Like, this was a fun game to watch. We get the win on top of it. We get some big moments down the stretch as well. So that's the first takeaway. Second takeaway is that Tyrese Maxey and Paul George both showed up, but it happened in each half. Tyrese Maxey played one of the best first halves he's played. Just every decision was perfect. Paul George had a pretty terrible first half, but he made up for it in a huge way. Mm-hmm. Got the step back threes to go in the second half. And the last thing is that everybody played well. They played 8 guys, Devon, and you kind of mentioned it already. Even Jeff Doughton did some good stuff.
He had some big shots, man. He had some funny moments in there too, but he had some big shots.
Adam Bona did some good stuff. Justin Edwards continues to impress.
Big
Kelly
time.
Oubre, beast on the boards. Yabu played hard. Like, again, everybody played well for the Sixers tonight. And it's crazy that they have lost 7 games in a row. You guys had to do the pod the other night after one of the most lifeless performances you will see.
The Denver game, folks.
And they come back and they win. Again, no Evan Mobley for the Cavs, but hey, Joel Embiid's not playing for the Sixers either. Pretty fair fight as far as I am concerned. And they get the win on a night that Cleveland shot it really well, man. They got a 52-3, shot it well. Not enough for the win. So a lot of fun and a lot of good stuff to break down. And I'm very happy because there have been a lot of nights this year where there hasn't been a lot of good stuff to break down.
No,
so let's get into it.
Tomorrow might be a tough one. They might turn around and lose to the Bulls. But looking at what they just did tonight, we had a game that lasted 2 hours and 25 minutes. And of course, in front of a sellout crowd. Bree, Rich, and I were talking about it during the game. They said it's a sellout. It's a sellout. Sellout crowd there at the arena. But you're right, man. Both teams finished the game shooting over 50% from the field, and the Sixers shot 53.8% from three, while the Cavs shot 48% from three on the night. Each team getting to the foul line. But look, the Sixers had the advantage tonight. 27 attempts for the 76ers at the free throw line. They were 23 for 27, 14 of 19 for the Cleveland Cavaliers. So both teams turned the ball over at the same rate, 16 for the Cavs, 18 for the Sixers. They both scored off of those miscues by the opposition, by the other team. But in the end, the Sixers did enough to get the win over this team. And you can look at those free throws there as we talk about it. But they were a +9 at the foul line, the 76ers were tonight from the free throw line, because they were the more aggressive team. You saw when things were going right for the Cleveland Cavaliers, they had every right to take those shots that they did because they were making them from the three-point line. Again, 25 made threes on 52 attempts, but the Sixers were the ones that had to get to the rim also, even with the fact that they were making their fair share, 21 from the perimeter. So them being overly aggressive, getting to the rack, hitting the offensive glass where they had 16 offensive rebounds to the Cleveland Cavaliers 10. And those second chance points, they showed up. 26 for Cleveland, 12 for the Sixers, but the Sixers needed all 12 of those because of the amount of threes. All of this stuff just kind of offsets, man. Yeah. And the Sixers needed those second chance points. While it was a +14 for Cleveland, their 12 mattered to go along with their free throws to make it all work tonight for the Sixers to pick up this win. Again, their 16th of the season, snapping their 7-game losing streak. But this was one that showed a lot because you pointed out the balanced effort, the balanced scoring from everybody. The Sixers had 6 players in double figures tonight. They only played 8, but they got 6 in that one. But the 5 that they got from Doughton, the 4 that they received from Bodner, they were crucial. They needed every bit of those points. So
of course, the end of the game got a little.
Oh yeah, it got a little because they can't make it easy for us. They can't do that. But the effort overall, your stars start, your role players play their role, and they picked up the slack in other areas, as you talked about. 13 rebounds for Kelly Oubre and Gershon Yabusele each. When you're going, yes, Evan Mobley was out, but Jared Allen's still over there. That he can clean up the glass, man, and pick up a lot of slack on the glass in general. But those two really did their part. So you got maybe outside of the Boston game, which we talked about that. San Antonio, that game was really good. Also on the 23rd, before that Christmas Day game, this was probably the best team effort for the Sixers in terms of a win all season long. It's unfortunate that we're talking about that 43 games into the campaign, but this was arguably the best one of the season in terms of the effort. And you would have to also say this, Rich, after what we talked about in the pregame of Nick Nurse ripping them a new one after that Denver game where they lost by 35, maybe it worked.
That's
finally.
What I said.
Maybe. You said it in the pregame.
Sometimes you go to that well too many times and lose the team. But again, we're not privy to how many times he's done it. Maybe he pushed the right button this time. And I would say it's about time. But anyway, they were really good tonight. So let's get into the guy who was really good right away. And I thought Tyrese Maxey's first half,
he was fantastic.
From a decision-making standpoint, from a shot-making standpoint, he was excellent. He completely controlled the game. Bree has a couple of the clips. I thought the way he rejected a couple of these screens was amazing. I mean, that little spin move into the floater, that was after earlier on. We're going to show the play that sets it up. He rejects. He goes by. That's Darius Garland there. Nice little floater over. It looks like Strus there for the bucket. That was smooth, man. That was nice. That was under control. but he was rejecting screens, a lot, man. There were some threes that he made on it, Bree. Do you have that other one?
And real quick,
well?
that spin move, that was with the left hand. He's a righty. That was with the left hand. Fantastic move, rejecting that screen, having both defenders off balance, both Allen and Garland.
And here's another one, right? Just gets into that step back three. Like he made every right decision. And it wasn't just scoring too, Devon. Like, I mean, obviously the scoring is a big part of this. He makes the 4 threes. My bet 365 bet hits in the first half because of Tyrese Maxey, because he's rejecting the screen. But just every decision of when to pass it. I thought there are plays that don't even show up in the box score, Devon, where the Sixers make threes in transition. Tyrese Maxey makes the hit ahead pass that starts it. And then, Oubre or PG or somebody makes the assist pass. I thought he was really good. He got the ball to Yabu when he was open from 3. He got the ball to PG. There were about 4 possessions in a row in the first half when, against the zone, Adam Bona set a screen for Tyrese Maxey. They scored 4 times, 4 different ways. Eric Gordon bombed 3. Maxey took Tristan Thompson to the bucket on that one. Maxey made a 3 on another one. And I forget what the other play was, but they got really good shots on very basic offense because Tyrese made the right play time and again. And a lot of it, Devon, is that when he's making his threes, when those sidesteppers are going in, when he is making the open shots, the other teams are pressing up on him, right? You saw at the end of the game, Jarrett Allen started trapping him. And, when Tyrese gets trapped, it's okay. He struggles a little bit against that, but it's such a huge part of his game. He can get to the rim a little bit better. Now, PG was the one who took them home, but I thought Tyrese set the tone from the start of that game and was just under control and making the right decision time and again.
And you're right. The 19 points, they show itself in the box score of how important he was in the first half to keep them in it, if you will. And look, there were others who did things like Kelly Oubre had 11, and of course the rebounding in the second half. We'll get to those guys a little bit later. The rebounding wasn't as big in the first half as it was in the second, but the 4 assists that Tyrese Maxey had in the first half, I say that to say only 4 assists in the first half because of everything you bring up. He only had 4 assists, but the passes that he made, we could have counted probably 3 from beyond the 3-point line, as hot as they were. So I'm not really criticizing them. I'm just pointing out that could have had 7 assists in the first half off the passes that he made, just off of his fingertips to the recipient and taking the shot. And then the others that led to the hockey assists, if you will, that led to makes off of his pass, off of the attention that he was drawing from the Cleveland Cavaliers, that led to some other basket from another player that didn't come directly from Tyrese Maxey. So when you talk about him setting that tone and the scoring and the passing and also his defense, Darius Garland wasn't doing much in the first half, and he had a lot of the assignment of, because as you should, Donovan Mitchell should find Tyrese Maxey or Eric Gordon. He found himself on him quite a bit, and we'll talk about Paul George and his defense where it wasn't as good. Tyrese Maxey, as you pointed out, had that assignment because he was on one of those 2 guards, and he did a pretty darn good job in the first half of holding up and making them really work to get the points that they did.
Big play at the end of the game, too, where I think this was the shot to take the lead for Eric Gordon, or maybe it was to get him within 1. But Tyrese Maxey gets Ty Jerome on the switch. Eric Gordon screens Darius Garland off of Tyrese Maxey. Darius Garland, because Tyrese Maxey is a threat to go by Ty Jerome, sucks in, just nice, easy pass to Eric Gordon, and Eric Gordon makes an in-rhythm bomb. And he did a lot of good stuff. There was a pass in the first half, nice lefty pass from Tyrese Maxey to Justin Edwards. Now, some of this is that the Sixers made shots, but I thought Tyrese made good decisions tonight, right? Like, if he's going to struggle with his passing around the rim, then make quick passes around the 3-point line. Give your other guys advantages and chances to score. I thought he did a fantastic job of that. And then PG took him home after that. But Tyrese's first half was great. Now Paul George's first half
not so great.
Was not great. Our almost WTF moment of the night was PG. I think he was going up against Dean Wade. He was like going nowhere on a mid-post ISO, ends up throwing the ball into the 3rd row. We actually had another WTF moment that eclipsed it. We're going to show that a little bit later. But that was the story of his first half.
It was a ridiculous pass. The whole sequence was terrible. Whole sequence was terrible. And he just topped it off with a WTF moment candidate of the night by throwing the ball over the teammate's head and into the 3rd, 4th row because it was a ridiculous decision by him to not be aggressive. But we talk about them being the more aggressive team. He was not aggressive. As you said, Ty Jerome, he's right in front of you. You mentioned Tristan Thompson, the play that Tyrese Maxey had also in the second half, where he was at the top of the key behind the three-point line and went right by Tristan Thompson, recognizing who was in front of him. Yeah. Paul George wasn't doing that at all to any of the defenders that were in front of him.
They were
in the
guarding
first
him
half.
With our guy, my guy, one of my favorite guys
of the show
I've ever covered, one of the funniest NBA players I've ever met in my life, George Niang.
It wasn't his night tonight.
Was standing up Paul George. Devon, there were a couple possessions where he was guarding PG on purpose, and PG wasn't scoring. And I was about to rip my whatever hair I have left out. And then we could have went to Glad afterwards, after it was over. It was a really rough first half. So for him to respond, because after halftime, he was excellent. I mean, he scores before the Sixers broadcast can even show the game action. He had already scored by then, and he was off to the races. And I mean, so much of it, man, is that when he gets players in isolation, he struggles to go by people, but the step back threes, they're unguardable when they're going in. They're difficult shots, but he was getting to his spots. He was making them, and then they have to press up on you. And then at the end of the game, Jarrett Allen is way up on Paul George. PG did use a little bit of a chicken wing to get around him, but he gets the end one. The Cavs take a terrible challenge at the end, but PG had a couple buckets too. Like Maxey had the Euro step. PG had the Euro step down the stretch of that game. So much of this is that the Sixers, particularly Paul George and Tyrese Maxey, have struggled to shoot threes so far this season. They made threes tonight. They made threes the entire game, but Cleveland pressed up on them at the end, and then they got to the basket and made some layups, made some runners. It's a really good performance by both of those guys.
One of the best wins of the season for the Sixers, if not the best. 132-129 over the best team in the East, the Cleveland Cavaliers. Season series now at 2-1 in favor of the Cavs, but the 76ers, much-needed victory, stopping a 7-game losing skid for the Philadelphia group. Jeannie says George Niang was a BFF tonight for his former team.
George struggled tonight.
He struggled tonight. He had some fouls very early where he had to be stuck to the bench. We'll talk about Paul George, on the other side as the 76ers pick up the win once again. 132-129. They are now 16-27. They have the Chicago Bulls tomorrow night on the second leg of a back-to-back. We'll discuss all of that a little bit later. More Paul George and others on the other side right here on the PHLY Sixers postgame show presented by Bet365.
And Devon, let's start out by talking about our friends at Ace Hardware Home Services. Got a leaky pipe? At Ace Hardware Home Services, they are around the block with everything that you need to fix it, including the person to do the fixing. If you have an air conditioning issue, they have a person for that too. A faucet that you said you'd fix last year, they got a person for that too, Devon, because now they're not just the helpful hardware folks, they're also the helpful home service and repair folks. From plumbing to heating and cooling, Ace has the trusted pros to keep your home humming all year long. Ace Hardware Home Services, they are bringing helpful home, the helpful you love, from the store now to your front door. And Ace, Devon, they have experience. There are local plumbers and techs that handle everything from repairs and seasonal maintenance to installations and upgrades. They bring understanding. They will listen to you and the goals for your home, and the job is not completed until you, the customer, is satisfied. Ace, they bring helpful to your home so you can spend more time on the projects that really matter. Devon, you should visit Ace Hardware Home Services online at www.acehardwarehomeservices.com to get you started on your next project.
I have to tell you, folks, presenting sponsor tonight, pregame show, all of our shows, Bet365. Rich, tonight we made a lot of people some money because of what we did, courtesy of Bet365 in our pregame pick segment. We were on it. We had Tyrese Maxey. He cleared that pretty early for Rich.
Did we go 3 for 3 tonight?
I think we did, man. I think we did. Tyrese Maxey, the 4+3s.
The money boys.
He was 4 for 8. Got it right there. I went with Darius Garland hitting over 2.5 threes. He nailed 4 of those threes, and Kelly Oubre, I had him with 1.5 over combined steals and blocks. Kelly Oubre tonight, 3 steals for the Philadelphia 76ers in their victory. So if you tailed us a little bit earlier at Bet365, we're so happy that we made you some change there right there on the best sports betting app around, Bet365. If you did not, that's okay. You still have time to join and participate with us because the Sixers do have a game tomorrow night against the Chicago Bulls. So you jump in with the Bet365 early payout offer as well. In basketball, if you're a winner, you get the early payout offer if your team goes up by 20 points with an instant payout on straight bets and parlay selections marked as winners. Download the app, use code PHLY365 when you sign up. How about for some football on Sunday for the big game? It's a very big game. You got the early payout with 17 points with an instant payout if your team goes up by 17. It's never ordinary. You can see yourself with a same-game parlay with the Sunday offer, placing a qualifying parlay bet totaling $20 or more on Sunday's NFL games and get up to $25 in bonus bets. Terms and conditions apply. And breaking news from Bet365, new customers get $150 in bonus bets when you bet $5, win or lose. Sign up, use the code PHLY365, deposit $10, place a bet for $5, and you get $150 in bonus bets if your bet wins. Bonus bets can be used on spreads, totals, player props, futures, and more. If you want to place that future bet for the big game, if you're already anticipating that the big squad, Philadelphia football, is going to be playing for the big game next month, you can place a future bet on that right here because whatever the moment, it's never ordinary at Bet365. Must be 21 plus and physically located in Pennsylvania. If you or someone you know has a gambling problem and wants help, call 1-800-GAMBLER. Welcome back to the PHLY Sixers postgame show presented by Bet365. Yes, Rich, we nailed it. Made some people some money tonight on a Friday. Made them some cash, man. Good job by you. Good job by you.
Good job by you.
We did it.
Good job by us.
We
Let's
did
pat
it.
each
We
other.
set everybody up. Yes, right. Pat each other, pat ourselves on the back. All right, let's get to the player of the game tonight. He was fantastic in the second half, and he was so bad in the first half, even though he had 9 points, but he got into foul trouble. He had the high turnover number of 6 tonight. How many of those in the first half? Well,
Probably
four.
Four, yeah.
In the first half. He turned that around, scored 21 in the second half, hit 6 of 11 overall from 3. He was 1 for 4 in the first half. He was 6 for 11, so he made 5 in the second half, 52% from the floor, 3 assists overall on the night to go along with 5 rebounds, 1 steal, and those 3 assists. Paul George earned in that second half to steal it from Tyrese Maxey, the Player of the Game award on our show tonight.
There haven't been too many times when we've had a little bit, not a disagreement, but we've had 2 excellent choices for player of the game.
We had a real discussion.
We've had a lot of times where we've made a tough decision, but because there were no good choices. Tonight there were 2 good choices, but I also think some of the moves that PG made down the stretch, he was really the one who took them home tonight. I think he slightly edges out Maxey for that reason. But that first half was not very good, Devon. But I will say the step back 3 he made to make the score 120-116. He gets Jared Allen on the switch. Man, that's just a cold-blooded shot. And it's something that we needed to see more from him this year, right? It's that half makes the rest of this season so frustrating. Right? It's like, why can't we get this a little more frequently? But he was awesome. Like in a game where Donovan Mitchell was cooking, where Ty Jerome was awesome, where Garland was getting into the mid-range and doing some stuff too. PG went shot for shot with all of those guys. And he was awesome, man. I mean, he had the pass, he had the cross-court pass to Gordon where Gordon made crazy catch and then hits the shot, had the N1 at the end of the game. Just a really strong second half from PG. Think he was the deserving player of the game tonight.
No, he absolutely was. There were multiple times tonight, folks. You guys hang with us all the time, so you know us. You know how we watch the game. It'd be great if you could sit and watch with us. But we were sitting there watching the game, all 3 of us, and like that's a bad shot as he's rising up for a 3 that's really, really well contested by Jared Allen, by some length out there, even with Dean Wade, not known for his defense, but he's he stands pretty well right there next to Paul George. And you're like, that's a bad shot. But he was making them. So the shot making was really, really good from Paul George in the second half. He was 7 for 12 in the second half. We mentioned the 5 for 7 from beyond and getting to the free throw line 3 times. He missed one. He was 2 for 3, but he cut down on his turnovers. He only had 2. He played 18 minutes and 55 seconds. So he put up that 21 in that just under 19 minutes of play. He had the 2 turnovers, but he had a steal. Again, the assist there, 1. He grabbed some rebounds. The shot making was tough. And this is the Paul George that we expected to get. I see some people in the chat like Al, the 2-minute warning talking about, so is this the PG we're going to get for the remainder of the season? None of us can say that, because if history tells us anything, it's been up and down for him for the 20-plus games that he has played for the Philadelphia 76ers. But the shot making that you saw on display from Paul George is exactly what you thought you were getting when you gave him that max contract, teaming him with Joel Embiid and Tyrese Maxey, pairing him as a duo, a 1-2 punch with Tyrese Maxey when you knew Joel Embiid was going to be out of the game. This is the type of performance that you expected from Paul George. The defense was good. It wasn't great. We've seen great defensive outputs, defensive outings from Paul George. Tonight was not great. It was good enough. But the offense, after having such a poor first half, to turn it around and establish himself and put his rubber stamp on the second half the way that he did when the shot making was happening on the other side from Donovan Mitchell, from Darius Garland, and of course Ty Jerome. You needed his offense to bring it home for the Sixers in the second half because of what Maxey did in the first. George did not. He picked up the slack in the second half, and he was phenomenal. So that shot making that you saw from him, where, yes, we make fun and we talk about 12 being and all that stuff, and 12, they're basically neck and neck this season of what their offense has been. This is why you give him the type of money that you did, to make sure that he and Maxey combined to scare the hell out of defenses on the other side when they have it going like that. And when they both have it going like that, that's where you see it eases the burden for the others from Oubre, Yabusele, Gordon, Edwards, Council, whoever is out there on the floor, Jeff Doughton, where they don't have all the pressure and the defense cannot slack off of those two because of what they're doing offensively. So one can have a great half, the other can have the second half and close it out. George can start it off fantastic for the 76ers in the first half, and defensively, he can pick it up in the second half where you know you're going to need him in the guts of the game to go along and teaming up with Oubre to slow down the perimeter play from the opposition, where Maxey, as we've seen in the past multiple times next to Harden and Embiid, be the closer that we know him to be as well. Paul George, though, player of the game tonight, a phenomenal performance from him, especially in the second half, due to that playmaking a little bit, but also the shot making that he had tonight for Nick Nurse's team.
We've been disappointed at times with PG and Maxey throughout the year.
100%.
And we've been disappointed with the supporting cast as well. This bad Sixer season is not just one thing. We've also been disappointed in Nick Nurse, and as Fusion points out in the chat, that's a nice little win for Nick Nurse after lighting into the team a few nights ago.
Hey, again, Fusion, you're right. We talked about that earlier for that very reason.
I have not said a lot of positive things about Nick Nurse so far this year. And hey, you might just say, they made shots tonight or whatever. But that was a gutty effort, and you might want them to tank. You might want them to lose games. But I think everybody can admit, like, I did not know these guys had it in them after basically quitting in that game against Denver, Devon. So that was pretty good. Let's get into the other guys. A guy who certainly didn't quit tonight.
By the way, player of the game, Paul George. The player of the game on the postgame show, as always, is brought to you by nobody. All right.
Another guy who did not quit tonight, Kelly Oubre Jr.
He did not.
22 points, as you mentioned, 13 rebounds, 3 steals. Got your bet 365 bet.
Thank you, sir.
And I would argue one of the biggest plays of the game, Kelly Oubre is sitting at the top of the zone. There was a ton of zone defense in tonight's game on both ends of the floor tonight. Kelly Oubre is at the top of the key in the zone defense. They throw a lazy pass to Jarrett Allen, and Kelly Oubre sort of picks him on a play. It was like a sneak attack type of steal.
Yeah.
Gets it, runs it out, pick 6. I think he cut the lead to 2 or something like that. Huge play in the guts of the game to steal a possession and get baskets. And Devon, he finishes with, I'm looking at it now, 7 offensive rebounds on the night. Like, he is the guy who crashes the boards for this team.
And again, doing that while the front line is not all that big, Jared Allen is still down there. But if Yabusele, who you're about to bring up, if everybody does their part, right, and puts a body on their man, you have opportunities like this with the 7 offensive rebounds from Kelly Oubre.
He was great. He was great. I mean, just played hard continually the entire game. Yeah, he was fantastic. Yeah, I mean, again, like he was great. Then you have Eric Gordon, 4 of 4 from beyond the arc. So Eric Gordon and Ty Jerome shoot 12 of 12 from deep. Man, those two guys were on a heater tonight.
And that last one that he made where his feet were set, which forced a timeout, I believe. Was it not? Was it not a timeout, I believe, from Kenny Atkinson? It was well beyond a three-point line. And we know his range is unlimited.
That's Houston Eric Gordon.
Even at his age, I mean, he knows, we know what it is. I mean, he gets a good base. Form is the same every time. As long as he has his shoulders squared, there's a chance that could be knocked down. And that one was deep. Yeah. And we were like, oh.
That was a bomb.
He's going to take this
That was
one?
really far.
And the beauty of it was, as he took it, we were looking at each other like, yeah, that's probably going in. And he nailed it because it was all in rhythm. It was the Eric Gordon rhythm. Or any shooter. You catch it, you're ready to go, right in your shooting pocket, and he nailed that thing.
He has beautiful mechanics.
Yes,
still.
he does.
And that's why he's been kind of disappointing so far this year, because you would think, like, just stand out there and continue to make those shots. That's something that can continue to keep as you get older. Just, I mean, he has beautiful mechanics on that shot. Yeah. I will say he did make a really hard one where PG threw a skip pass to him.
Yeah, you brought that one up earlier.
He was like, he had to catch that ball way over
I don't
his
know
head
how he made that
and make that shot. That was a heck of a shot by EG. So big game for him as well. And then we got to shout out another guy that we've been shouting out as basically like one of the only bright spots of this team. Comes in and plays awesome tonight. Justin Edwards, 15 points, 3 of 6 from beyond the arc. Devon, he is getting rid of those balls fast, man. Like,
because before you saw it was an elongated type of thing. It took so long for him to get into a shot. They recognized that on film and said, hey, you got to get that shot off much faster than you are.
Again, like, he's somebody who at Kentucky, he made some threes, but he was playing like a stretch 4 role. He was getting a lot of open shots. Man, he's like catching and firing on the wing. I did not expect him to have that quick of a trigger from beyond the arc. He had a couple nice drives to the basket too, beat George on a show and go late in the game. Almost had a dunk, but got kind of pushed in the stomach. Almost threw it down. But again, he looks like he belongs.
He does.
You've been really impressed with him so far.
Yeah, I really have. And DC Marley, Bree, right there in the chat. Rich, the guy who I compared him to the other day when we were talking about him, was a little bit of the Chris Middleton body, where I'm not ripped, but I got good height. I got good measurables. I have good measurables, but just smooth. And this is something that we just didn't expect so early. He's not supposed to be up here. He's supposed to be playing for the Delaware Blue Coats.
Supposed to be in Delaware
and destroying them and
doing
this
Sioux Falls Skyforce.
100%. But right
Fort
now,
Wayne Mad Ants.
Even in the losses where we've talked about these 7 consecutive losses, we've always brought up how well something has popped, something has flashed in those games where Justin Edwards has done something well that says, he might be getting his contract picked up at the end of the season because of how well he's playing. If he can keep this up going forward, this is another nice find as we critique and criticize Daryl Morey for what he has done, even though we praise him in the offseason. This was a nice find. Someone earlier said, how was he undrafted? Well, he got caught on that Kentucky team that underperformed, had 2 lottery picks there, and they were getting all the attention there, and he didn't play as well. But he's stepped right into this role as the minutes have picked up. He snatched those away from Ricky Council, again, a show favorite, and he has taken these and run with it. He might hit a wall. He's going to hit a wall at some point because that's just what happens with rookies, right? But for right now, for what he's doing, especially tonight when they needed it as well, he was really good once again, and showing why he is one of the first players off the bench for Nick Nurse when he looks down.
I wonder if I think it has to just be because he's from Philly, because I mean, he's not afraid, man. Like, he's like laughing and giggling throughout the game. Even remember the one play where he got caught in midair and he ended up traveling. Like, again, like, he's not like beating himself up over those mistakes. He's like, look, I'm a young guy. I'm going to screw up every once in a while, but I'm going to come back And I'm going to guard Donovan Mitchell on this play, and he might score on me, but I'm going to try again on the next possession. I really enjoy that he seems like pretty unflappable. It doesn't seem like the moment is too big for him. It seems like he is taking the opportunity that this very depleted Sixers team is giving him, and he's running with it. And I've been super impressed. And I will harp on, the Chris Middleton comp. It's like, I'm not sure he has the ball handling that Chris Middleton has or whatever.
It's more of like the body type, the smoothness, because
he's got the mentality too. Again, like he does not get sped up.
Right. Ricky is ripped, right? Ricky is cut up and he's all ripped. Where Justin Edwards is still 19. He's still a baby and he has that straight line. I'm probably stronger than I look, and that can help you go a long way. The ball handling, not there. Maybe it's something that has to catch up. Maybe it will. But yeah, you're right, man. He has been really good. And that one play where he traveled and he dropped the ball down after he went up. But we said that was the right play. Don't allow it to be a live ball turnover where you have a 3-on-2 fast break the other way. It's a dead ball. It was a turnover. It's a bad play, but it was the right play of not allowing that one to just go somewhere else and they're going the other way, getting the bucket.
Fusion brought up a good point to add to us talking about kind of him being a smart player and aware of what's going on. Tyrese Maxey falls on that last inbounds pass. They had two guys covering him. I know the Rook missed one of the two free throws, but at that point, really all you got to do is just get the ball in bounds.
He came to it.
He came to the ball.
He
was ready for it. He wanted to shoot those free throws. Good stuff from the kid. Yeah, he's been a very pleasant surprise.
Great recognition there, Fusion, on that play. The good awareness overall.
I would also say, too, there was another possession where Maxey got trapped late in the game, and he came to the free throw line and got them an open look by flashing to the paint and then spraying it out for a three-point shot. Again, like he seems like a pretty smart player.
Did it another time.
Good body.
He missed the shot, but he did what he was supposed to do by flashing to the free throw line. Missed the pull-up jumper. It looked like it was one of his easiest shots of the night at the free throw line, but he just missed it. He leaned in a little bit, missed it. But the awareness, the recognition of making yourself available, that was the right play. So, yeah, good stuff. Let's take a quick break because we want to make sure we are available when the guys check in with us. Sixers win 132-129. We talked about all that. And while Rich did mention Gershon Yabusele, we probably need to talk about him a little bit more because of how good he was.
Sure.
Nick Nurse as well. We'll give them some love on the other side. Right here, Sixers win 132-129. It's the postgame show, the PHLY Sixers postgame show, presented by Bet365. Oh, I got to tell you, Rich was saying sometimes, look, during that 7-game losing streak, things happen, man. You start to pull your hair out. You get frustrated. You pull your hair out. We both, we deal with it ourselves, but hey, we're all right. We're okay. We can handle it. And you know why we can also handle it? If we decide maybe we can get a little help, bring it back a little bit. Glatt hair restoration. That's where you have to go. Teaming up with Dr. Morgenstern of the Morgenstern Center for Orbital and Facial Plastic Surgery, welcoming in the Glatt group to the practice. And if you heard John Marks for many years, both on the radio and now bringing the awareness also here to the PHLY network. John Marks has been talking about it, spearheading the campaign for years. And Glatt now has the same, under the direction of Dr. Morgenstern, the same peerless approach, same care overall, expert team, unmatched Glatt system. The state-of-the-art location is the same and the same stellar results. So if you're worried, I'm not quite sure, I heard so much about Glatt, well, don't worry. They had a great relationship, a great friendship overall. So that's why Dr. Morgenstern is able to take over for Dr. Glatt and teaming it up for the Glatt hair restoration with Dr. Morgenstern. Here's what you get: laser light therapy, non-invasive TED treatments, topical oral medications, vitamin supplementation as well, PRP and stem cell restoration, hair restoration surgery as well. And each patient receives a complimentary one-on-one consultation to pinpoint the best course of treatment overall. Glatt hair isn't just about restoration, it's about innovation. And their breakthrough treatments really do dramatically change lives. Change your hair, change your life. Basketball team won tonight. So if you said, oh man, I pulled too much hair out, need to get it fixed, you know where to go. Dr. Glatt hair teaming up with Dr. Morgenstern. Bald is now optional, but if you want to improve how you look, how you feel about yourself, Glatt hair has the right treatment for you. Regain your confidence. Visit glatthairmctr.com or call 610-980-4000 to get started.
Devon, let's talk about Mint Mobile now. 2025 is here, and Mint Mobile has a resolution for you. Skip the gym, skip the fad diets, skip the BS resolutions that you'll forget about by next month. Instead, make a resolution to save some serious cash by making the switch to Mint Mobile. And right now, you can get half off their 3-month unlimited plan. It's time for you to leave overpriced wireless plans, jaw-dropping monthly bills, unexpected overages, and all of their other BS back in 2024. Mint Mobile is dropping a huge savings for the New Year's by offering any 3-month plan for only $15 a month, even their unlimited plan. Any plans come with high-speed data and unlimited talk and text delivered to the nation's largest 5G network. Ditch overpriced wireless with Mint Mobile. It is so easy. Sign up online and get 3 months of premium wireless service for $15 a month. And to get this new customer offer and your new 3-month premium wireless plan for just $15 a month, go to mintmobile.com/Sixers. That's mintmobile.com/Sixers. Cut your wireless bill to $15 a month again at mintmobile.com/Sixers. $45 upfront payment required. New customers on their first 3-month plan only. Speed slower, above 40 gigabytes on an unlimited plan. Additional taxes, fees, and restrictions apply. See Mint Mobile for details.
Welcome back to the PHLY Sixers postgame show presented by Bet365. Ryan Reynolds, send us some more phones so we can have the two phones. Have the two phones and doing the work that we need to do overall. We got to tweet this. We got to tweet that. We got to Instagram this. We got to Instagram that. We need two phones, man, to be able to do all of that. Get that with Mint Mobile. All right, let's talk a little bit about George Yabusele because he was also tremendous in this one with the 13 rebounds, clutch. The fact that he's shooting again, we discussed it in the pregame, pulling Jared Allen away from the basket, maybe opening up some driving lanes for Tyrese Maxey and everyone else.
Had another one of those tear down the rim dunks.
Yes, he did. I mean, he continues to have one of those double-double, 12 and 13. I didn't think, folks, he would even come close to 13 boards tonight. When we were doing our Bet365 picks, by the way, Mr. Sandman, sorry about your loss tonight. Hope you went the other way in a separate bet. On the stack that you put up a little bit earlier. But the double-double, when we were putting our bets together, and I looked at Gershawn Yabusele, I looked at the rebounds, one, because Evan Mobley was out, but two, I also stayed away from it because of how good of a rebounder Jared Allen is. Gershawn Yabusele did everything he needed to do tonight. Jared Allen, number one, only finished with 8 points. It's not because his teammates weren't looking for him. He had some bad moments out there on the offensive end, and it was also because of the body that was being put on him defensively by Gershawn Yabusele, and then securing the rebound or allowing the others to come in and dip in and secure a floorboard because of what he is doing by putting a body on his man and not allowing that to happen. He also finished the night with 3 assists. He had 2 blocks, one of which was early right at the rim on one of the guards who were crashing at the rim, pinned that one. And so we don't look at him as a defender. We look at him as a shot blocker. And we really don't look at him in today's NBA because of his lack of height versus a lot of these guys as a big-time rebounder. He earned his money tonight against that guy.
He works hard. I mean, some of those offensive rebounds he got, he got tied up, he got blocked. Maybe there was contact on some of those plays. But he was not getting cheated. Like, he was working hard to get those boards. Devon, Cleveland got a lot of offensive rebounds tonight, but it was spread out throughout the lineup. Now, Jared Allen gets 3, but there are a lot of guys throughout the lineup who get those boards, and that's the way that the Sixers have to work. They are not a good defensive rebounding team, but Yabu and especially Kelly on the other end, the way that the Sixers compete on the glass is they hit the offensive glass.
Yep.
They get those extra possessions. Yep. They're just not going to be a very good defensive team, everybody, until Joel Embiid comes back and they have a little more structure on that end of the floor. They're not going to hit the defensive glass that hard, but Yabu hit the glass as hard as he could tonight, did a good job on the offensive glass, and the Sixers, the possession game was pretty much even, basically because he and Kelly Oubre played really hard. Good for them.
They really did. All right, let's get to the arena. Check in with the fellas as we do have a back-to-back, so they'll be in studio tomorrow, but oh, man, it's going to be a while since we won't see them because of the 6-game homestand that's coming up. So Kyle's getting comfortable in the arena because he's going to be there a lot here lately. Joining us from the arena after Kyle, A great game, a great win, and a much needed one, but arguably the best one of the season. I know we said that a few times earlier, but they've been few and far between. This one was the best one tonight.
Yeah, I mean, at the very least, it's the most surprising one, right? Because at least you could make the case when they beat Boston on Christmas or they beat the Spurs. I guess the Spurs is still surprising because Joel got ejected at halftime, but they had Joel for the Christmas game and they were something close to whole. And this was a team that played Justin Edwards serious minutes, that played Adem Bona as backup center. And frankly, they played Paul George at center for a stint in the third. And so, coming off such a dispiriting loss to Denver where you're never really in the game, you get bulldozed right away in transition, to come back tonight where they gave up a ton of points, but I thought that was more a testament to Cleveland's talent and execution and the offense that they have this year than it was anything about the Sixers. Just outstanding game to watch. And frankly, we always say we're rooting for ourselves more than anybody else. Thank God we got to watch a good basketball game tonight because I was almost forgetting what those looked like.
Kyle, I would say it was a tale of two halves for Paul George. That first half was not great, but he comes out, first possession, gets a bucket, and he really took him home tonight, man.
Yeah, I was thinking during the game, this has got to be the first Paul George home game where it was like, oh, wow, yeah, this is what we were sold in the offseason. This is what was advertised, right? Because he had a good game. He's had some good games on their home floor, but they've always kind of petered out at the end, or they've been in games where, like the Knicks game in mid-November, where it wasn't super consequential because of factors outside of his control. This was a second half that was absolutely dominated by Paul George. Might be a little strong, but he took control of that game. And something that I think I've seen, and I asked him about it in the locker room tonight, but I've seen increasingly lately, is him flowing out of some handoffs and some actions naturally with Tyrese Maxey, where you can tell they're learning how to play together. I think Derek probably has a better handle on the stats and the numbers, but the offensive numbers when they share the floor together have been pretty damn good for the last month and a half, maybe even longer than that. And I think that's matching the. What did you say back there? Oh, well, that was. I'm trying to lead into the pitch, but Derek is in the front row here, telling me it's in the column from today at allphly.com. So feel free to go read that. But yeah, so I think that the numbers match what you're seeing out there, which is it's not so much your turn, my turn, as them running offense and playing purposeful basketball. And another thing that Paul benefited from tonight, as well as a bunch of other guys, that's the best zone offense I think they've played in the entire time I've been covering the team, where they were getting open look after open look after open look. And Nick Nurse commented on that tonight, said something to the effect of, now we're getting down the floor and we're not having to say, oh, it's zone, it's zone, it's zone. And then you figure out how to set stuff up. People are moving into their spots and getting to, look one, look two, look three instinctively instead of spending 4 to 6 seconds just processing the fact that they're against zone. So slowly but surely, both Paul and this team are showing some signs on offense that they might be getting their act together.
And Kyle, when you look at, this was a total team effort as well, with this 8 players overall, 6 players in double figures, but everyone contributed and did something. You brought up Maxey and, of course, Paul George, but Yabusele, Oubre, fantastic, Justin Edwards. Just your thoughts overall on what they did, the trust that Nick Nurse had in Justin Edwards, and the fact that you had 2 players in Oubre and Yabusele with 13 rebounds each, and they needed every one of those, including the offensive boards as well.
Yeah, and look, Justin Edwards' rebounding numbers weren't quite in that group, but I think you saw the will and the want-to from him there too, right, where they're mixing it up. And I think that's got to be everybody on this team, because they by default are playing small, right? Because of Joel's never been healthy this year. Drummond has missed a ton of time at this point, and it's looking like they're not going to be able to rely on him as anywhere close to as much as they wanted. So they got to gang rebound. They got to, just use your athleticism, fill the lanes, and just try to make something happen. And so watching those guys go to work against, Jared Allen and bigger front courts, and Yabu just big boying them out of the way and coming out of 2 and 3 players with the ball. That's the sort of stuff that you want to see, right? You don't want them packing it in the way that they did on Tuesday against Denver. Like it's one thing for them to lose. It's another thing for them to lose and for games to not be competitive. And so it's nice seeing these guys still holding on to the rope, wanting to win, wanting to try to turn this season around. Although, the tricky part is, that desire is there. And tonight the shooting and whatnot is there. Paul George got asked a question by David Aldridge in the locker room about the deadline and the legend DA. So he gets asked about, the deadline and, what you guys might need, or you think you need to make changes, blah, blah, blah. And Paul George was basically like, honestly, I don't even think you can know, right? Like we have a lot of guys and I think we have enough, but you don't see it on the floor. And so that remains the toughest outstanding thing right now. Is like you have role players that are left playing these big roles that are fighting, they're battling, they're scrapping to try to keep this team afloat. It's just, are they ever going to get the reinforcements so that tonight is not an outlier, right? That tonight is the start of something rather than a surprise in the middle of the year.
Kyle, last one for me. I guess I could ask about Tyrese Maxey. He was very good tonight. I thought he was excellent in the first half. But the guy that I am more curious about, was this like Nick Nurse's best moment of the season? Because, he screams at his team in the locker room apparently the other night. And they actually said like, okay, yeah, like we probably deserve to get yelled at. And then they come back after that lifeless performance and submitted an effort that I wasn't even sure they were really capable of.
Yeah, I think on multiple levels, Nurse has to be thrilled with that one. One, because you can now point to that Denver game and say, well, third game of 4 nights at altitude, it says more about the schedule than it does commitment to the coach or, whether they want to have this guy in charge or not. Like you can dismiss those at least for right now. But then all the other stuff, right? Like brought up the zone offense earlier. That was a big thing. I think, frankly, that the transition defense was better tonight, right? Like the Cavs put up 129 points. So we're not going to sit here and say like, oh my God, they completely turned it around on that end, right? But I do think by and large, the guys were in the right places. They're making the correct rotations and they're just getting back, right? There are a lot more plays tonight where, I actually think good example, Tyrese Maxey got back on a play, got caught on a foul on Darius Garland in transition that I thought he actually got hard done on that call where it never touched him. His arms were maybe not vertical, but there were more of those plays, right? Like guys trying to get and getting into the proper positions to make plays. So that was a big deal. And then as we see some of these relationships, the Maxey, Paul George stuff, frankly, even something as small as like an Adem Bona, Tyrese Maxey pick and roll being well executed, right? Where Bona
they killed it. They were great.
They
second quarter
the screen and Maxey gets to the rim, misses, and you get the Bona follow. But it's like all the little details of running that pick and roll are there. And Nurse has talked a lot, and certainly yesterday at practice said, we're drilling down into the basic fundamentals, basic setup stuff. And when he says that and you see a game like they had in Denver, it's like, all right, whatever. But then when you come back and have the type of performance in the game they had tonight, it starts to make you think like, okay, maybe it might be baby steps. It might be too late in the season compared to what people wanted, but there could be some meaningful progress happening.
All right, man. Well, we're going to let you guys get out of there because we are back here tomorrow night at an 8 o'clock start, 7:30 pregame for us as the Sixers are on the second leg of a back-to-back against the Chicago Bulls. Folks, make sure you go read allphly.com for Kyle's recap. Derek's story from a little bit earlier today that he was yelling at Kyle about during this conversation. And Rich is always great newsletter, daily newsletter at allphly.com. By the way, you can sign up and take advantage of the playoff special that's going on. $48. $48. Wow.
Not too shabby.
Not too shabby.
$2 cheaper than the snow that they were selling the other day.
Unbelievable. Would you buy snow? I mean, seriously, come on, man.
That was so ridiculous.
Not doing
Hell no.
I'm
Hell
a little
we're not
worried about
buying
Jeff.
snow.
Kyle was there anyway. He was there enjoying the game anyway.
I love
Oh,
Jeff
Derek's
Lurie.
trying
I'm
to
a
wait.
little worried about his pockets.
Derek
if he's
is going to
selling
crash the postgame show as you're sending me off here. You're playing the Oscars play me off music, and I decided he all of a sudden wanted to get some of the spotlight. So, Derek, any thoughts?
I mean, I just thought, I'm not on anyone's TV or on their computer enough. I don't get enough FaceTime. So, you know, I just got to sit here and say hi and make sure that I'm seen.
Well,
I will say,
just for that, come on in tomorrow. Come on in tomorrow, man. Just for that, come on in tomorrow. How about that?
All right, fine. You talked me into it. I think a lot of people are conflicted. And, I think some people, a good chunk of the fan base wants this team to lose. I think today was a reminder of how much I have missed good basketball. I do also think it is a proof of concept that, like, maybe the theory of this team shouldn't be dismissed quite so easily, because I do agree with what Kyle was saying, that we're starting to see them just get a little bit more flow, a little bit more actually playing off of each other rather than just my turn, your turn. There were some real good possessions. That Paul George corner three in the first half, I'm thinking of specifically, but you're just seeing that they have some talent between the two. The skill sets, I think, can mesh. Kyle brought up the offensive numbers, and they're real good. We're talking like, I think it was like 90th percentile offense when those two are on the floor without Embiid. It's can you get the big three together for any sustained stretch, and can you build enough depth around them so that you don't completely stink when two of them head to the bench? I do think this was a proof of concept win that there is still some talent, and those two are not. Paul George is not completely washed, and if you can get Joel Embiid on the floor, which I know is a huge if, I at least understand the vision of what they were trying to do, and I think this win kind of shows that.
Absolutely, man.
Well said.
Can't wait to hear more from both you and Kyle tomorrow as we preview the Sixers and the Bulls. And right now, if we were to say that, hey, they could pick up a full game on the Bulls tomorrow night by defeating them. Second night of a back-to-back. There you go.
We went from Derek and I before the game. We're like, boy, there's a big one in Charlotte Blazers. That's the Blazer,
right.
I believe it's the Blazers or the Hornets. One of them has a back-to-back where they're playing the Pelicans tomorrow. So the Tankers are all eyes on that game. Otherwise, we're watching Sixers Bulls.
Absolutely. All right, man. Get home safe, both of you, and we'll talk to you tomorrow at 7:30 right here on the Sixers PHLY's pregame
The
show.
race for 10 is on.
Hey, man, listen, they're 2 games back of the Bulls in the 10th spot.
Yeah.
You make up a full game tomorrow if you defeat them, and
yeah,
then the conversation starts, man.
Look, we haven't really brought up that element of kind of the confusing nature of Sixers fandom right now. Should they tank? Should they win? Have they won too many games to tank? Truthfully, I don't know at this point. Like, I don't know what the right answer is. I just enjoyed the game tonight.
Tonight was fun.
And I enjoyed it. And might it be harmful in the long run? Maybe. I don't know what the right answer is. They can just get Joel back for a little bit. I think that they could make at least a run towards the bottom of the Eastern Conference playoff picture. But again, I don't know what the right answer was or is or was. But I had a lot of fun watching the night's game. Let's get to the WTF.
Let's get the before we do that, just the Andy Reid, just enjoy the win tonight. Yeah. Just enjoy the win. Before we get to the WTF moment, I just want to follow up on the allphly.com, becoming a diehard member.
Oh, yeah.
Again, you can sign up to become a diehard member if you have not. We know many of you in the chat, all of you basically in the chat, have done so. But if you want to tell somebody and tell a friend that, hey, you know that all PHLY that you check out the podcast and all, well, you can go to the website and also sign up to become a diehard member. And to do so, you can take advantage of the great deal by celebrating the Eagles' success, the incredible run that they're having right now with just $4 a month, with the great access to our premium content from the story that Derek dropped, which was a diehard piece a little bit earlier. If you go there, you will see some great stories for the birds with Les Bowen. I saw Eddie Barkowitz in there
Sure.
with a great story, right? Contributing to the
Love Eddie.
to the website at allphly.com. Zach Berman, Fran Duffy, getting ready for a lot of draft coverage, even though he's still in playoff NFC Championship, maybe Super Bowl mode. It's never too early to talk about the draft prospects. Also, Bo Wolf, as we know, Charlie pumping out all the articles for the Flyers run, and the Phillies getting ready to pitchers and catchers here shortly. So you're going to have some stuff there as well. Allphly.com. Become a diehard member. Fly high right now with PHLY for just $4 a month for all of the access to the premium content as well. 40% off this week. Folks, take advantage of it. With our great deal, $48 for the entire year, $4 a month. It's playoff season, folks. Limited time intro offer at $48. Tell a friend, Jay says. Tell a friend and tell a friend and tell another friend. That's all you got to do. Spread the word. Good stuff.
All right, let's get to the moment I've been waiting for.
WTF for moment of the night. What the was he thinking? Who do we have here, Rich?
We have our guy, Franklin, who played some of the greatest inbound defense I have ever seen.
Shout out Franklin, friend of the show.
You have Ty Jerome down 3, inbounding the ball. The Cavs have clawed back to get this to be a one-possession game with the ball. And you have Franklin literally like an inch behind Ty Jerome trying to inbound the ball. You get a timeout right away. I don't know if Wob has the second aspect of this video. I remember, so I was watching the initial video. Oh yeah, that's why Wob is the best.
And that's why Bree is the best.
And that's why Bree is the best, finding that right there. He doubles down, second possession, any short corner pass. Franklin is taking that away with his arms completely
Is that like
out.
what do they call it? Like the whammy or something like that, right?
Look at that. They ran a play into the corner, Devon.
It's unbelievable.
That's what a lot of inbounds plays from the sideline are, right? You set the screen at the elbow, try and get that 3 in the short corner with the guy. Franklin completely took that away. He is standing up, and the ref is not even acknowledging it. Like, I can't believe this was allowed. Ty Jerome should have pegged Franklin in the face.
Yo, this is wild. Expect a suspension for Franklin coming. So you're right. How did that not happen? Technical something.
Oh,
and you brought it up. You said, as a smart basketball guy as you are, why not just pull the basketball back on an overhead inbound pass?
With the Sixers
have
gotten
it
teed up for that?
interfere with the mask with Franklin. You probably get in trouble for that. He's interfering.
Probably.
He's in the level of play. Now, one play he was standing on the chair, the first one.
The first one, he was behind him. The second
But
one,
standing up on the chair.
Yeah.
Yeah. So he was out. He's a little bit out of the way.
But
not
dude,
on the
he
floor.
doubled down.
I
And
know.
he was like, not only am I
He's
going to
going
stand
away,
behind
man.
him, I am going to stand to the side of
Yo,
him
that was
and
funny.
take away his short corner pass. By the way, Ty Jerome, who's a guy who played awesome tonight, clearly is like an antagonist. He is somebody who gets under the other team's skin. He didn't say one thing about it.
Nope.
And Igafini said on the Cavs subreddit, all they're talking about is Franklin. And I got to say, I kind of get it.
Right.
I kind of get it.
You're looking at a team on a historical run at 36-7, trying to improve to 37-7, keep pace with OKC. They can't have losses like this, right? I would be complaining too. Franklin.
That was the biggest play of the game, and he actually had a huge impact on the play.
Bree, I'm sorry.
Franklin, player of the game.
We should have asked Bree to make up a secondary Franklin graphic for him, player of the game, because of how clutch he was tonight. And you bring up the Ty Jerome piece too. Folks, you know as basketball fans, the person that's the inbounder is the one that the coach trusts outside of the other scorers that he wants him to inbound the ball to. He had 33 points tonight. He was nailing threes, big shots. He threw the ball away because of Franklin, the whammy on him.
The Sixers couldn't stop Ty Jerome all night, so they had to bring in the closer, and the closer was Franklin.
You get the player that, you know how he gives the players the basketball to sign and throw into the stands?
Yeah, usually
You
Franklin,
get the ball.
Usually Franklin's the one that gives it to the player.
He
should have taken it himself and thrown it into the stands.
100%.
Unbelievable.
100%. Let's get to the super chat. By
What
the
a
way,
play.
the WTF moment of the night brought to you by Rich.
No one.
Let's get to the super chats here on this Friday night. Skunk Riley. Might be obvious, that used to, but is Maury getting canned? ? He's been MIA all year, and there was a report this week. He's gone, right? Love y'all. Skunk, we love you too. Really appreciate it. We did discuss it in the pregame
show. We talked about the Bob Myers speculation. I wouldn't even call it a report.
Yeah, he's not getting fired midseason. He's just not doing that. That's not happening. But the Bob Myers conversation, we discussed it. So for folks who did not check it out, go check it out at a pregame show, 30-minute show. You know, you can go right to it. Probably about midway through the show where we started discussing the Bob Myers conversation, a piece of it from Bill Simmons discussing that on his podcast. But he's not getting fired right now. And if they make the playoffs, he's probably still going to be around.
I'm not even sure it's about that. I think it's about his relationship with Josh Harris.
Yeah.
And his willingness to go on with the job.
And we don't know because look,
we don't know.
We also praise him for having arguably the best offseason in the NBA. So, you know what changed? They lost some games. That's what changed. And let's see what happens at the trade deadline also.
One other Daryl Morey note, Devon.
Good question, though, Scott.
He has kind of been known for his entire career as the guy who, number one, is good with the salary cap and finding, some gems. Like he found like Chandler Parson, like Chuck Hayes, if we even go all the way back. There were undervalued players in Houston that Daryl Morey found. But it's also like he's superstars guy, right? He's the guy that wants to put the super teams together and find the free agents.
Mm-hmm.
He has so far struggled with that with the Sixers. I gotta say, his drafting, like this year, I mean, Jared McCain, obviously he hasn't played for a few months, but considering how weak this draft was,
he was the rookie of the month for October and November.
I mean, and he would have
probably
been, he probably would have been the rookie of the year if he played the entire year. That seems like a great pick. Like Justin Edwards, undrafted free agent, pretty good, right? I mean, so it's funny that Daryl Morey came here kind of as superstar guy and as team builder type guy. And it feels like he's more been like the drafter. That's been where he's found more.
Dembona might be a player.
Yeah. I mean, that seems like a guy who, I don't know.
Bringing in Ricky for all the issues we have with Ricky right now this season, it was a good find.
It's too early to say, but with the Dembona, I'm certainly interested to see more.
Yeah.
Again, Kyle did bring up a good point. Like his screening against the zone tonight was really good.
Yeah.
It seemed like he found a little bit of chemistry and timing with Maxey on that. They did some good stuff. So definitely want to see more of Dembona.
Yeah, we'll see if he pops up in the second half of the season after the trade deadline and sits in the stands a little bit more than he has this season. Ernest Peterson in the super chat as well. Love the show. Love Justin Edwards. I know he's not Joe, but why do Yabu and Maxey not do that pocket pass, the pick and pop that we've seen so much with Joel Embiid as the pet play that they have? Feel like it would open up the offense a little bit. What are your thoughts on him in the middle of the floor as that guy? We see it pick and pop from the three-point line, but we don't see it at the free throw line extended like Joel.
I think you said part of the reason we don't see it is because Yabu is popping to the three-point line. Now, Maxey can get in trouble because he struggles sometimes against size and when he gets trapped. There were a couple possessions where I thought Jared Allen mucked up the possession a little bit. And it's true where you would like Yabu to just when Jared Allen is blitzing those screens, if Yabu can kind of just flash to the free throw line, he doesn't even have to shoot that shot. He can do the old Draymond Green 4-on-3 thing where Yabu is really good on the short roll when he gets ahead of steam, try to dunk the ball. And if somebody comes to help, then just spray it out to the three-point shooter. I think Yabu is definitely capable of doing that. Ernest, I agree. I think they need to work on that a little bit more, have a little bit better communication of, okay, when Maxey is getting completely trapped, Yabu, don't pop all the way out to the three-point line. Make yourself more available on the short roll. I agree. That would open up the offense a little bit more.
Yeah, and I agree with Money Mar.
It's not as much the mid-range.
Yeah, and right now, that's not his shot. We don't know what clip he would shoot that at, what percentage he would shoot that at, but that's not his shot. His shot is the three-point line. They brought him in, and they wanted him to extend his range out to the three-point line, get comfortable, get used to that. And we've seen it, to your point of the Draymond Green middle of the floor. We've seen it sometimes, but not enough.
Yeah, my point is I don't want him taking that shot from the free
throw line. No,
we're
showing there.
I want him driving downhill.
And he is a good decision maker, whether it's attacking the basket. I've seen him throw lobs to Kelly Oubre or a pass to Kelly Oubre baseline for a finish there at the rim. He's a good decision maker.
And if you don't step in front, he's going to tear down the rim.
I agree.
Yeah.
Yep, you're going to pick up fouls. He's going to pick up fouls. The Franklin conversation is fantastic. If either Milwaukee or Robin Lopez in this case, but Brooke Lopez and Robin Lopez, you know how they have their history with mascots.
Sure.
They definitely would have thrown the basketball at
If
him.
Brooke Lopez was inbounding that ball, Franklin would have been in concussion protocol after the game.
Yes, he would have. All right, folks.
But that's KYP.
That is knowing your personnel, man. Knowing your personnel. All right, folks. This was a great win. Great win by the team overall. So with it, we love to end the show with a great run of, let's get to our world famous roll call.
Let's do it.
On this Friday night, hanging out with all of you. We really appreciate it as always. And we start off with the super chatters that we just brought up from Ernest Peterson and Skunk Riley. Thank you so much for the super chat. Fellas, better love somebody to love somebody to love somebody in the chat as well. We appreciate it. Mary Overfield. Hey, Mary J. Checking in with us, saying early on in the conversation, made his weekend with this win. Follow it up tomorrow and then get the big one on Sunday, Rich. We didn't even talk about that. We'll get to that after the roll call. Fusion, great points in there. Fusion, appreciate it. Mr. Sandman, sorry about the loss. Taking the money line.
You'll bounce back.
Bounce back tomorrow against the Bulls. Nikki G, Al, the 2 men in the warning. What up, Al? Phi Chi, Rich P, Cy Y in the chat as well. Boots.
What up, Boots?
Hanging out with us. Mike E, Holy Cannoli, Yams in there. A little upset with the loss, Yams is. A little upset with the loss, a little bit. Mellow 3-point. Aaron, what up, Aaron? Saw you in there. Jeannie and Winona, ladies, always good to see you. DC Marley, Money Mar, what up, Money Mar? Chima, Jay, Michael B, we already said. JJ gets the shout out twice, though. Noob, what up, Noob? John Peace. Peace. What up, John Peace? Leonard, hanging out. What up, Lenny? Sean Lee. Jess, hey, Jess. Vic, Joaquin, Phi Chi. On a Friday night, hanging out with us. Prophet One, Sid, and Randy as well. EB Nash, Alan O, Frank C, all the network. We got the X-Man. You got to throw him up as always. What up, X? Hanging out. Sal as well. Art, Brother Hannibal, I Gavini. What up, I Gavini? Vince checking in as well, saying, you know what? Vinny was talking in pregame about Morey getting fired. Said, great win. Great win.
Vince is emotional.
Also, Joel wasn't on the floor. He was on the bench, though. Saw him on the bench.
He was on the bench.
He was on the bench. He had the basketball. And finally, but last but not least, the Fresh Prince, 215 Fresh Prince. What up, Prince? We thank you all for hanging out with us. As always, we'll be back tomorrow at 7:30 for an 8 o'clock tip against the Chicago Bulls. As always, please like and subscribe to the show. And when you do, hit the bell icon as well so you can get the alerts that sound like this to let you know that the show is getting ready to get started. By the way, Rich will not be with us tomorrow, but he will be with the Eagles team on Sunday for the big game.
It's a big game this weekend.
Game starts at 3 o'clock. Jay says Birds by 1,000,000 this weekend.
Sounds good to me, Jay.
What time are you starting with the pregame, and you got the halftime show as well?
Yeah.
All right.
So it's I don't know exactly. Usually we
Normally
do it
about
about
45
we usually
minutes?
45 minutes in advance. So probably about 2:15 for the pregame show. We'll have Jamie Lynch. We'll have Bo Wolf. We'll have Vinny by at least the postgame show after it's over. It'll be a lot of fun, and we will be talking not about Josh Harris's team winning a game like we did tonight.
No.
But the Birds going to the Super Bowl.
Because they are. Because they are. Yes. All right, that'll do it for us. Our show tonight, as always, brought to you by our good friends from Bet365. Download the Bet365 app. Use code PHLY365 when you sign up. And whatever the moment, it's never ordinary at Bet365. Must be 21 plus, physically located in Pennsylvania. If you or someone you know has a gambling problem and wants help, call 1-800-GAMBLER. Also, I saw my mom in there too. Hey, Mom. Same James also says good night. Producer extraordinaire, Bree, thank you so much. Great job as always. Rich, this is always fun, man.
You're going to be seeing a lot of me, man.
While we do not have a game tomorrow, I haven't seen you for a while because of their road trip.
You're going to be sick of me.
Oh, man, I love it. 6 games for the 6-game homestand for the Sixers. Me, Rich, and Bree will be hanging out with you after the Bulls game tomorrow. They are home for 6 in a row, starting next Tuesday with the Lakers.
Not 1, not 2, not 3.
That's right.
6.
And that's a back-to-back, too, the final back-to-back of January for the Sixers. This was just the 3rd win of the month for this. All right, I'm not going to say it. They won the game tonight, 132-129. Everybody have a great rest of your Friday night. We'll be back with you on Saturday at 7:30. And hey, enjoy the win. Have fun. And we'll talk to you tomorrow at 7:30. Make sure you tune in to Rich on Sunday for the pregame and halftime as we watch the Birds go to the Super Bowl. Have a great rest of your night, everybody. Good night.
We all silly like the mayor.